Now we're going to move on from that. We're going to talk about some of the things that changed. These were updates that happened really in the last 12 months, and some of these things we're just starting to understand. Some of these things I think we'll understand more as time goes on, even though we've already adopted it into law. But we'll talk about some of these changes. First one is the final grade treatments. After we've done a pre-treatment, we have to come back and do a final grade after the construction of the home is done. And we used to have 12 months to be able to do that. That has been extended to 18 months, which is good for us. The PMD also put tools in place when you're filing the TARFs online. If there is a pre-treatment that you've done that you have not done a final grade for, after like 6 months, it starts populating up at the front saying, hey, don't forget, you got to go back and do a final grade. So there was a lot of issues with people forgetting to go back and do the final grades, some whole neighborhoods that got missed, some investigations that happened, but they've put some tools in place to make it a lot easier to not forget to do your final final grades. Okay. Label-driven pre-treatments. It used to be that no matter what product we were using for a pre-treatment, if we were following the old language in the rule, it was we had to apply at the rate of 4 gallons per 10 linear feet. And then some new products came on the market, like Termador HE, that said you can apply at the rate of 2 gallons per 10 linear feet, which means we have to apply half as many gallons on a job, which means we can get out of there twice as quick. And especially if we've got grounds that are harder to absorb, moisture in Arizona, there's all kinds of situations where applying less is going to be more. We want to use less water. It's better for the environment. So we want to use less, but there was law restrictions that prevented us from doing that, and the law said that we had to apply at the rate of 4 gallons per 10 on pretreatments. That rule has been changed, and it says or at label rate. So whatever the label says, as long as you're using a product like HE and it allows for you to use it in a pretreatment setting, now you can do it. Okay, so that's something that AZPPO was working with the Department of Agriculture on to help get that figured out for you guys. 120 is the new 90. And what I mean by that is we used to have 90 days as a certified applicator. If we started with a company, we could apply with that company for 90 days before we were required to either have a license or stop spraying. Does everybody remember their 90 days when they first started? Okay. During that time, we can't spray at a school, a daycare, a healthcare, or a food handling establishment, or purchase restricted use pesticides. But we can still go out there and spray as long as we're supervised. Okay? That time period, because of new fingerprinting requirements for certified and qualified applicators, that has been extended now to 120 days. And now when you register an applicator to the business license, he has 120 days that he can make applications before he's required to either have a license or stop making applications. Okay? Now they extended that because it's taking longer to process the applications. If we say, oh, they've extended it, and then we take longer to submit the applications, we're still going to have the same issues we did before. So we'll talk about kind of timelines a little bit later on as far as, or in another video, how to submit the applications and when to do that, the best kind of recommended timelines. The 2-inch letter requirement for your service vehicles and trailers is gone. So, again, we talked about this a little bit in another slide. You still have to have the contrasting colors, still got to be on both sides of the service vehicle. But it used to be, it had to be 2 inches. Now that requirement's gone. So it can be as small as it wants. But they go, I don't know why you would do that. Hopefully you want to represent your business name and, on your business. So they just thought, if you want to make it smaller, we're not going to penalize you. We're not going to be out there with the measuring tape going, oh, it's, 1 inch and 3/4. They just said, forget it. So they're not going to worry about that anymore. If you're testing or you have somebody that's testing, the exams were updated on January 1st of 2024. And there really wasn't many changes that were made. The rule packet, like I said, was approved in March of 2023. And when they did that, at the time I said, well, what about the questions on the test, that contradict these? And I got volunteered to go through and read all of the questions on the test and find anywhere that they contradict the new laws and rules, which was very exhausting. But after I got through, there really wasn't many that were that affected by the laws and rules, but there was some things like spelling errors, some other things that we were able to clear up that once I saw, I couldn't unsee. So there was not a ton that changed if you're studying and you're preparing for the test. We have this sheet at our office that goes through like any of the changes, especially the ones that you're going to see on the exam. If you guys come by the office, we've got that available. But if you're preparing to take the exam and there's anything that's changed, like the 90 days to 120, those are all live on the test. Okay, so just make sure you're prepared for that. Late certification renewals. This is something that was extended. It changed about a year or two ago. It used to be that if you got your hours, but your license wasn't renewed properly, like you paid your fee, but you didn't submit your statement of lawful presence, and your license still expired. Or maybe you just didn't pay your fee because you got your hours and then you left the industry and you quit, and then nobody paid your license renewal fee. You used to have a period just from May 31st to June 30th, so about a month, that you could pay a late fee still and redeem that license and renew it. Now that period has been extended all the way till April 30th of the following year. So that's a big deal. Where that really comes into play for you guys, the biggest takeaway you can use and apply for yourself, which you guys, if you're here now today with me, you're doing. Get your CEUs always before April 30th. And really, April 20th, if depending on where you're getting them. A CEU provider has 10 days to record your credits, no matter where you get them, whether it's here, or if you get them from us online, or you go to a big conference. They got 10 days to record your credits to the Pest Management Division. If, for some reason, there was some issue with your license being renewed the last year, usually when we find out about that is when you're here taking CEUs. And you'll sit through the whole day, or you'll watch 6 hours, or you'll go to the conference, get through the whole day. And then when we go to record those hours, we type in your license number, and it says, this person expired last year. Okay? Now, if you expired the year before, and you're here getting CEUs, you probably don't know your license expired. And last year, you probably got your CEUs. Usually when we come and we tell you, you go, I did what I was supposed to do. I got my hours. Someone else didn't pay my fee, didn't turn in my driver's license, didn't do something else. Okay? They're not the ones that are going to have to come back in and retest. It's your license. You got to take responsibility for it. But it's easy to do. It's easy to check. But if you always get your hours before April 20th, even if there was an issue the year before, you'll be able to catch it and fix it before it's too late. Last year, and this happens every year, on April 30th, we're recording the hours that somebody took on the 29th. We punched in the guy's license number and we called him and we said, hey, your license expired last year, but you got your hours, you paid your fee. All they need is your driver's license and a statement of lawful presence. Submit it and call them today. Call us immediately back, and then we can record your hours. So he had to redeem it first, pay it, and then we can record the hours. Before, it wouldn't let us record him because he was expired. He wasn't a licensed person. Now, it says you're subject to discipline. That's up to the PMD. He could be held responsible. He was making applications for a whole year without a license. So the rules, you are subject to discipline. Now, how much they will do or what they'll do, it's going to depend on the situation. A lot of times in this situation, it's just ignorance. People just don't know. They pay the late fee. It's just kind of an administrative thing, and they let you move on. But they have authority to fine you for that. Now, he called the PMD. He paid the late fee. We recorded his hours. He was saved. The very next day, May 1st, same thing happened. And actually, this guy took him on the 30th, but then we were recording him the following day. And when we went to record him, we said, hey, your license is expired. It expired last year. And he said the same thing. I got my hours. I paid my fee. They just didn't submit that statement of lawful presence. Someone didn't do that. Didn't know. We told him he's going to have to reapply for a new license. He's going to have to re-fingerprint. He doesn't get a new 120 days with the business license. And now he knows. So he can't continue to spray. And that likelihood that you're subject to discipline is a lot worse. Because now you know better. So always, if you can, come in, get your continuing education units kind of on the earlier, at least 1 hour. You can get them online different ways. If you're at least getting 1 hour, you'll know if something happened bad last year. Okay? If you've left the industry and you come back, if it's in a short period of time, you also might check into that too. Sometimes we'll have people in class and we're going, you don't have to do this again. You just expired last year. We can actually just pay a late fee and you're good to go. Okay? Evidence of lawful presence, that has to be resubmitted every year with your renewal if the pest management does not have proof of citizenship on file. Proof of citizenship is a birth certificate, U.S. birth certificate, or a U.S. passport. Okay? If they just have a driver's license, that doesn't prove anything, except for that you're lawfully present and you have to resubmit that per state law every year. That's where a lot of the issues with renewal come in. It's all entangled around this. So if you have a passport or birth certificate on the original application, best case scenario. If in a hurry you just did the driver's license, this is your first time dealing with this pain in the butt of having to renew and get this figured out, when you submit the statement of lawful presence, this time use a birth certificate or passport. Okay? And if you don't have that, then use a driver's license, but know that you're going to have to do it every year. And don't forget about it. They're prevented from accepting driver's licenses in 18 different states now that don't have the gold star. So if you're coming from another state and you haven't changed your driver's license over, pay attention to that, be careful.